Hey y'all. So we're gonna get into this live of Love and Marriage Huntsville, season 6, episode 24, I think it was. A Stormy is Brewing. Or it's 25, I'm sorry, y'all. But if you enjoy this review, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Now let's get into it. So we're back with Nell and Chris arguing with the kids and Chris Jr. about the dogs and how he don't want to pay her back and all kinds of shit with the dog medicine being $3,000. And she was like, "Well, no, you." Nell's like, "Well, no, you owe me before. You owe me $3,000 before then, so technically it's six or whatever." And and then another family member was like, "Well, I'm about to take a shot. Y'all want to take a shot?" And actually, that family member was Nail's son, Lance. But in her confessional, Nail says that she feels Chris Jr. doesn't have it all together and that everybody is having problems with him, and that Lance, he he says that she said that Lance had to fire Chris Jr. too, basically, because I guess he wasn't doing the work. And then Lance tells Chris Jr. that he's been feeling a type of way, that he had to fire him because, basically he wasn't getting nothing done. And Chris Jr. was like, "Well, I feel some type of way because I ain't get my last check." And Lance was like, "Well, do you really think that you earned that money?" And Chris Jr. was like, "Well, it was $400, so fuck yeah." But Lance was like, because any other time he sees him sitting down, not doing nothing, being on his phone or whatever, and says that his company is doing way better now. After he had to borrow, some money from Chris and Nell. And Nell says that if she had all the money back that they borrowed, that she would be wealthy. And that if it were left up to Chris, that they wouldn't have nothing. And that the kids all across the table was looking like, "Here she go with this shit again." And in her confessional, Nell says that she has mixed feelings as to why she's the bad guy, and she really doesn't give a damn for real. But that it just is what it is for her. And Chris says, "No, you're not the bad guy. The kids just have a problem talking to her." And Nell says, "Yeah, but they backdoor her and go to him." And he's like, "Yeah, sometimes they do." And Nell was like, "Well, she's not having that shit." And then Nell tells the kids that Chris told her not to buy any of them those expensive ass cars that they got because they didn't need them. And then Lexi is like, "Well, I didn't get a new car like everybody else." And she was like, she had to save up while everybody else got a new car and all of that. And Nell was like, "Yeah, but then you got another one after that." And then they all just, that whole statement just fell into a whole colossal mess of, hmm. And in his confessional, Chris says, like, "Here we go again. Every time they get into it with Lexi, it's about that card." And then Nell tells Lexi that she has a very distorted memory about what happened with the car situation, I guess. And um, Chris tells Lexi that at some point they gave her a lot of money for a car, and then about a month later she had a new one. So that's where the confusion comes in for them as to what happened to their car. And Lexi says that she got in a car accident. Like, would they like to see the documents for it? And Chris is like, "Nah, you doing too much." And then Lexi says that she never got a car, but she gets treated differently. And then she turned to her pasta and lobster, her husband, and said that he's looking down, like, he's kind of leaving out of it. Like, she was looking at him like, you know what I'm talking about. And he's looking down like, leave me out of this shit. And then Lexi says that she's always been treated differently, so let's not open up that can of worms. And Nell says, "Well, now let's get to it then, since that's the type of time you want to be on." So she says that she gets treated differently, and Lexi's like that she's gone years without talking to any of them. And everybody is like, "Well, because you blocked me and that was your choice, this, that, and the third." And I'm not gonna lie, them responding that way low-key triggered me, because nobody is trying to listen to what she's saying. They kind of just responding. And even if they don't believe that that was the truth, that's her truth, and they just need to shut up and listen. That's my opinion. Um, um, and then Kayla, who is Chris and Neil's daughter, tells Lexi that she blocked all of them and stopped talking to them, so it's the other way around. And then Kayla tells Lexi that they were in the same household and she chooses to get mad about certain things. And literally, while I was reviewing this shit, it triggered the fuck out of me. Like, and then y'all wonder why, if she got kids, she'll never be around because y'all don't choose to listen. And then Lexi is like, all this memory loss that they have is wild. And Chris Jr. says, like, you know, you might as well just let it go, let the whole situation go. And then Lexi says that she lets everything go with that family, and that if she didn't, that she wouldn't be there. And then Lance tells Lexi that the whole woe is me thing that she has about her is just doing too much. But I'm just like, do y'all see how they keep telling her to hush up and not say nothing and just keep quiet? And it's people like Nell who want somebody to submit, and then like the rest of the kids keep following along just so they don't get cussed the fuck out. And Lexi is telling them that she never really around them, but you know that's the reason, because they don't listen to her. And see, my notes here says Lexi is telling them that she's never really around them, but the silent part is because she don't like them, and that is the truth. She don't like them, and she feels like that they don't like her, because I could just tell that she didn't want to be here. And then the shoes. And then she says that they never have invited her to a family vacation or nothing like that. And I was like, girl, stop lying. And everybody was like, no, we invited you. We invited you once. And that's my whole thing, once. Like, she probably wants y'all to be like, look, you know, really reach out to me. My bad, y'all. The Wi-Fi is probably just a little wonky. And then I just really felt like they was ganging up on her. And it's like when you're the family member who doesn't fall in line with all of the fuckery, then you become the problem, right? And then Lexi tells them that they were barely at her wedding, and I'm like, but Chris and Neil were at Mel's remarrying herself. Like, okay. And after she said the whole "you weren't at my wedding," they were like, "Yeah, because you blocked us, and we barely got invited to anything, and like nobody's sticking up for her, not even her husband, her pasta and lobster." Like, it's just real fucked up, because he probably knew he would get cussed the fuck out too. But then Lexi's like, "If y'all don't lie, then I'm gonna leave." And Neil says, "You know, don't disrespect me at my table." And Lexi says, "All right, bye." She gets up and leaves, and she keeps telling him to kiss her ass. And Lance, it says that this is why you're never around. And Kayla says, "Make sure you block me, bitch." And I'm just like, all y'all is so wrong for all of that. Fuck every single person around that table for how they just did her. Because at least Chris ran after her, you know what I'm saying? Like, And then all the cousins are just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this." Or the siblings like, "I can't believe this." Or the smacked her, yada, yada. And in her confessional, well, before the confessional, Chris goes to run after her. But in her confessional, Nell says that she's over it with Lexi and that she does this every time, so it's no point. And Chris says that it is hurtful, that as hurtful as it is to hear, she is their daughter and he's going to always love her. And Nell says that she can respect that for him. And just her responding like that, obviously, I can see that Kayla probably felt, I mean, not Kayla, but Alexis probably felt like she was the stepchild, like literally that Nell probably treated her like a stepchild, because that's the energy that I'm getting. And as Chris is out there talking to Lexi, she fussing him out real bad. And in the inside, they're like, "Oh, you know, Lexi is always doing the same shit, yada yada." And Lexi's like, "Well, Chris, he was only around when she turned 18. He was like, man, get the fuck out of here. Why you lying? Yada yada." And I thought it was funny that she was arguing with her dad, with her husband sitting right in the middle, and he's looking so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm gonna just let them have it out. Um, but yes, that whole scene was a hot ass mess. And I think sometime this upcoming week, I'm gonna do a video about that whole Fletcher's dinner thing. I'm gonna do a video about that. We're gonna dissect it and we're gonna get into that because that triggered the hell out of me, and it was just no, not good. And come to find out later in this episode that Chris and Nail are like counselors, and y'all talking to y'all kids. Like, okay, whatever. But now with Stormi and Courtney, and they're chilling at their house, and she's talking about how busy she's been, and not with work, but with mediating between Kiki and Tiffany. And Courtney was like, do you think you can fix them?" And Stormi's like, "Yeah, she thinks she could because she knows how to respond, but she isn't sure because Kiki gives off this energy that in so many words she gonna pop off on Tiffany if she keep doing too much of this." But she feels like Kiki lets it go sometimes, but with Tiffany in that interview with Carlos King, she just felt like it was just too much. And then Stormi says that she doesn't want to see Tiffany and Kiki have real beef, but Tiffany is a little Karen, and Kiki will really lay hands on her. And Courtney says, "So, like, what are you going to do?" And Stormi says that she wants to bring him to the house to have them chill out. And Courtney is looking like, "Not at my house, not at this house." My bad, that was my phone. Um, and then I kind of felt the same way because not when they're gonna be acting dumb, being at your house acting a fool. No, thank you. Throwing shit, no. Um, and Courtney says that like don't have no wine or nothing laying around because he don't want them um being able to throw no shit nowhere. And Stormi is like, "No, we gonna have them take some shots so they can mellow out, yada yada." And Courtney's like, "The shots is gonna bring the anger out. What you mean? Tiff's not gonna take no shots. She gotta breastfeed that baby. What do you mean?" Um, and then Stormi says that she does think that she can get them to chill out. And Courtney says, well, hopefully because they're all grown, at the end of the day. And I'm just like, don't put too much hope in Tiffany because I just wouldn't. She's not a trustworthy type of gal, and she stoops very low, so I wouldn't assume the best. But then Stormi tells Courtney about the conversation that she and Kyle had, and with the business and how so much has changed since Kyle's been there, and how now they can really celebrate how far they've come and how they had to hire and fire a lot of people. And she says that she tried to do her best when hiring, but it didn't always pan out that way. And then Stormi tells Courtney that the stakes are just so high, and that she's had all these dreams and ambitions that she wanted to make happen. And Courtney's like, "Yeah, but you made it happen." And she's like, "Yeah, but 2022, which is a really hard year for her, and she feels like it tested her strength in such a crazy way." And then Stormi says, that they built a $40 million company, and that that era in their business right now, it couldn't go anywhere unless they cut off them snakes from before. And she says that she feels like she is a stronger CEO now, and that she didn't used to want to fire anybody. And Courtney agrees. And then Stormi says that people were forging her signature and all that stuff, and that she's just glad that they got rid of the snakes. And I want to know who's doing the forging because she said this a few times. Now I want to know. But then Courtney tells Stormi that he brought Junior back. And while I was reviewing this, I'm like, it's very funny that he brought Junior back when he was the one who wanted him gone in the first place. And they show a clip of Courtney and Junior talking about how he wants Junior to come back, and as long as it's not like how things were before. And Junior's like, my bad, y'all, if it timed out or whatever, it's just the Wi-Fi. But Courtney's like, I want you back, just not like how it was before. And Junior's like, "What, does Stormi know I'm coming back?" And Courtney was like, "Don't worry about all of that. Let me handle that." And Junior's like, nah, don't get me in trouble again. And I'm like, yeah, don't do that, because Courtney had disowning sister out here at the ranch house because he wanted Stormi to fire her cousin. And I'll link that episode in the description of this live when I'm done. But the episode is season 6, episode 11 titled Betty Blues. That is the episode where Miss Betty and her sister was going at it because Courtney had Stormy fired Junior. So now it's like, well, why do you want him back all of a sudden when you caused all that shit before? Like, please. And then Stormy asked Courtney if he really thinks that that's gonna be a good idea. Like, does he think that Junior's gonna be different from the last time? And Courtney says, yeah. But as he's trying to explain it to her, he's like, why did you face like that? And she was like, well, because I just had this conversation with Kyle and, about letting people go and stuff like that. And she's just like, we have to do what's best for the company. And she's like, well, but if you feel like bringing Junior back is a good idea, then go ahead. I'm going to let you handle it. Forget it. And then Stormy says that she feels like that they've already been through a lot with the company and taken a lot of steps forward, but she feels that this decision could be seen as taking a step back. And she's not sure if they can take another hit like that because not everybody gets a second chance. And that they got one. And Courtney's like, nah, it'll be fine. He'll make sure that Junior doesn't misbehave like last time. And he believes that Junior will do the right thing. And in her confessional, Stormy says that she's a little taken aback with Courtney wanting to bring Junior back, even though she knows that they kind of have this brotherly type relationship. But she says, like, that's her cousin. And she fired her cousin, but now he's like, oh, yeah, let's bring Junior back. And she says she isn't surprised, but she's like, well, why fire him in the first place? That's exactly how I feel. Because if y'all know how ugly that fight with Stormy's mom and her sister got, y'all would know exactly what I mean. Like, what was the point? What was the whole point? Miss Betty was out here cursing bitches, like, for real. And then Stormy lets Courtney know that she's staying out of it and that he can just handle this shit. Now we're with Martell, and his brother and his family are helping him move to his new house, and they talk about, and he talks about how hard it was for him to find a house. In his confessional, Martell says that the Huntsville housing market has been difficult, especially for him because he needs 5 bedrooms because he got a lot of kids. And one of his good friends slash realtors dropped this house in his lap. And then Martell tells his brother Montez that he needs this stuff done, being moved by a certain date because he's having surgery on his eyes soon, and that he's trying to get some bags removed from under his eyes. And I'm like, damn, all that time in Atlanta, now he want to be fresh off the table like everybody else. Well, I don't know how much of a good look that is, but okay, Martell. And then Martell FaceTimes Chris, and he shows him how he moved out of the house, and Chris is rejoicing like crazy. And in his confessional, Martell says that it's been so much turmoil between he and Chris and him squatting in that house, and that he doesn't know what Chris or the owner was thinking, but he wasn't going to be leaving the house without having somewhere else to go. Squatting, okay? But then Martell asks Chris, how's the family doing? And basically he wants to know about Nail. And because she was like, the last time they talked, she cussed him for help. And he was like, your wife don't be playing, Chris. And Chris says, yeah, she told me that you got a little hot too. And Martell says that, he don't need to be, and then he tells Martell that he don't need to be talking to his wife like that. And then in his confessional, Martell says that he can tell Chris is bothered by the conversation he and Nell had, and that he wasn't coming at him like in a weird way by telling him to not talk to his wife like that. But Chris knows that his wife and Martell both have temper, so he understands both sides, but that they both agreed to meet up and talk later on, because that was not handled at all. Okay, now with Melody at her house, and the way they introduce this lady, right? Because they finally have Melody's name change. It's not Melody Shirley anymore, it's Melody Rodgers, right? But as they introduce this friend on the show, it says Melody's best friend, Brittany. Where you been at, Brittany? Where you been at? She been running amok for 6 seasons on the OWN network now. Or are y'all on Discovery TV now? Whatever. She been running amok for 6 seasons. Brittany, where you been? But basically she's putting her friend to work to start packaging orders or whatever. And in her confessional, Melody says that they have been friends since college and that they've been roommates together and they've experienced everything together, but she has a bone to pick with her because she didn't come to her name change ceremony. So she asked Brittany, why you ain't come? And Brittany's like, I told you, my niece turned 16. I couldn't miss her birthday, yada, yada, but I was with you in spirit. Melody is like, I ain't mad at you yet. You know, you my bestie. You was supposed to be there. And Brittany says, yeah, but we talked about it. You know, Melody was like, but I ain't over it yet. And then Melody kind of wants to go down the whole timeline of how long she and Brittany have been friends, and says that they were roommates when she met Lil Buddy, aka Martell, and then at the wedding and all the changes and divorce. So why wasn't she at this party, right? And Brittany says, well, she helped a lot with the ideas for the party and stuff, so she thought that maybe that would let Melody realize how much she wanted to be there, I guess. Um, Melody says that she's still not over it and she's still upset. And then Brittany's like, well, let's do another ceremony. And Melody is like, well, how about you be a part of helping me find love again and helping her pick the right guy? And Brittany says, well, I wasn't a part of helping pick the last one, so you might need my help this time, okay? And in her confessional, Melody says that her dating life has been pretty interesting and that she doesn't have a lot of patience for certain things like she did when she was in her marriage, and that people get blocked quickly, but she also has had some great experiences as well, and that it's been ups and downs being in the dating world after being married for so long. And Melody is like, yeah, you know, this will be fun. And Brittany was like, you know, yeah, I know what you need and what you don't need. And Melody is like, well, what you think? You know, what is one requirement for me when it comes to a relationship? And Brittany, instead of giving her one thing, she goes down a whole list. And then Melody asks Brittany if she thinks that they're gonna find some. She asks her, what do they think they're going to find because the pickings are slim? And Brittany says that they aren't going to pick here in Huntsville. And Melody says, yeah, well, I think that this is international for JJ. And then they both laugh. And I ain't going to lie, I ain't mad at it. Shit. Mine as well. And now we're with Chris, and he shows up to what I think is he and Nail's daycare. Um, where Nell is. And in her confessional, she says that she hasn't been in the mood to get into it with Chris, but there are some things that they need to talk about. And basically, the family dinner. And Chris says that, you know, as they start talking about the family dinner, he says that Alexis did a lie and that he was really torn because they've been through this whole thing with her before. And he doesn't understand how she feels that she's been mistreated, especially about the whole car thing. Well, maybe if y'all shut the fuck up and listen to her, y'all will understand. But y'all don't want to do that because y'all feel like saying the same shit, same shit, same shit. If you don't digest it and understand why she was upset, you're going to keep hearing the same shit. Like, what about that? Don't y'all understand? Y'all keep being annoyed that y'all keep hearing her run her mouth. Maybe if you shut up and listen to what she has to say, she won't have to keep repeating herself. Right? Okay. Um, And then Nell says that she's not going to keep explaining herself to Lexi and that at this point it's draining and it hurts. And Chris says that it definitely hurts and that that's their child and it tears them apart when she acts that way. And in his confession, Chris says that his relationship with his daughter Lexi has been difficult throughout the years. And Nell says that because of the family dinner, the relationship has taken a step back and she feels that she gets the short end of the stick a lot of the times in regards to what Lexi has been told and what's the truth. And Chris says that he agrees, and Nell says that at the end of the day, she is their daughter and she loves her. And then Nell asks Chris if he spoke to Chris Jr., and he says not over the phone, but he texted him. And Nell says that she tried to call him after the dinner, you know, days after the dinner, texting him, all of that, and he just hasn't been answering the phone. And she says that she thinks that she pissed him off about the money thing and the dog, and that Kiki made a statement that Nell isn't the easiest person to talk to, and that they all collectively just go to Chris because they think it's easier. And Chris kind of makes a face and is like, well, um, and Nell is like, see, I knew it. He's kind of like, well, you're right. The kids are kind of, you know, they do that. And she's like, see, I knew it. And Chris says that the kids feel that when they come to her, her button is kind of already pushed and that, you know, she's kind of on the negative end. and on her "I don't give a damn" type shit. Y'all old enough to know better. Why did you do it like this type thing? And she kind of puts her head down because she knows that it's the truth, right? And then Chris says that he thinks that his approach is that he tries to figure out what happened and why first before he starts getting at him. And then Nell says that, well, first of all, she's not Chris and she deals with a lot of her stuff differently, and that, yeah, her fuse might be short and it may not be, and things may not come out the best way, but they can't say that she didn't tell them so, and that some things can be avoided, and sometimes she just thinks that they're asses. And then Chris says that they know that if they mess up, Nell's gonna come, is gonna give them hell, but she's gonna fix it. And Nell says, well, that's probably why she isn't getting any more phone calls or nothing like that, because she's done fixing the shit and she's over it. And if they want to keep running to Chris and hitting his pockets, then fine. And he's like, oh, yeah, they've been hitting my pockets, all right. And Nell says that that's another thing, that the kids pay him back. She doesn't get her shit back, and that she has every right to go from 0 to 100. And in her confessional, Nell says that she feels that as a mom, she has to be more strict to get them to see that they have to do stuff on their own. And Chris says that he agrees and that he thinks she's doing a great job. And she says thank you. And then Nell says that she doesn't know how to move forward with the kids. And Chris says that maybe they all need family counseling. And Nell says that it's funny because it's funny that he said that because they are counselors and that they need counseling. And then Nell says that maybe the kids will listen to a third party, and they both agree, but you can tell how tense it is. And I kind of get it because it's like, she helps people, but now she can't help her family. So I guess she feels a little defeated, but it's not going to hurt nothing. It's not going to hurt nothing or nobody. But everybody has to shut up and listen to each other. That's the only way this shit works. But now with Kiki, and she's driving up to Stormi's house, and this is a sidebar. My bad, y'all, my Wi-Fi. This is a sidebar. As much shit as I give Stormi, I love that fucking house. That house is chef kiss. Do you hear me? Okay? That ranch, everything is beautiful. So, but that was a sidebar, okay? And Kiki arrives, and Stormi seems pretty excited to see her. And in her confessional, Stormi says that she invited Kiki and Tiffany over so they can finally hash their shit out and they can walk away and never revisit this shit again. Please, God. But knowing Tiffany, that ain't gonna fucking happen. If anything, they're gonna all leave more pissed. And then Kiki explains that she is on something called methadones, and that a side effect is sweating a lot, but that she's been feeling better. In her confessional, Stormi says to see Kiki sweating off of the methadone treatment she's doing, it made her feel for her because that is an intense side effect. But if it's working for her, then she love it. And I had to realize, like, yeah, for Kiki to be going through that on TV, girl, you strong. You one of the strong ones, okay? But then Stormi says that before they get into why she's here, she wants to talk to Kiki about the whole Tisha thing and how they're doing. And Kiki says, what's the point of even addressing it? She can't talk to me no more, and I blocked her. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of hearing about it. It is what it is. She's done. And Stormi is like, well, can it get any better? And Kiki says she doesn't believe so, and at this point, she don't care. And Kiki says that they have been doing this back and forth, she and Tisha, since they were 13, and that if truth be told, she is the reason why Tisha is where she is right now, and that she bought her alone so that and for all this other stuff, and that Tisha probably wouldn't have even gone to college if not for her, and that when you say stuff like that, that she helped Tisha, and then Tisha and Marceau get mad instead of acknowledging the truth. And then Kiki says that she feels that they need to nitpick with her about every single little thing that happened, and that it's not all her fault that their relationship is dead to her now. And in her confessional, Stormi says that she's sad to hear that Kiki and Tisha are at a place where that they are done, and that the situation is very similar to her mom and her aunt. And that if Tisha and Kiki can be done, then it could be the same for her mom and her aunt, and that she doesn't want to give up hope for that. And then Stormi tells Kiki that she wants her and Tiffany to get together because she thinks that they can get along. And Kiki says, girl, you about to make me lose my fucking appetite. You didn't ask me about Tisha already. Now you ask me about this Karenisha bitch, okay? I don't want to hear no more. I'm about to throw up. And then Stormi says, nah, y'all gonna get whatever issue it is y'all got right here, right now, and basically throw all the shade on the table. Y'all say it to each other's face so y'all can leave and it be over with. And then Stormi says that she feels like the situation with Kiki and Tiffany wasn't deep at the spa day or even at Martella's party, but it's deep now because of the interview that Tiffany did. And then they show a clip of Carlos telling Tiffany that Kiki got her eyes set on her this season. And Tiffany says that, I don't know, maybe Kiki was a lesbian before. That's the type of shit that will get your ass rocked, Tiffany. Like, what about that don't you understand, hun? I'll never get it. Like, you don't. Never mind. Never mind. Because y'all already know I don't like this bitch, okay? Y'all already know. So I ain't even going to keep getting into it. And then Stormi says that she feels that Tiffany's interview with Carlos was real personal and just different. And Kiki says that Tiffany lied and she doesn't know why she's lying, but it's frustrating because she hasn't done nothing to Tiffany to come at her like this. But now Tiffany trying to switch it and saying that Kiki is the one coming at her. And then I'm saying that she doesn't know her or what her issue is, and that, you know, she hates if she would have to teach Tiffany a lesson, but she will if she needs to. And then Tiffany knocked on the door. And in her confessional, Kiki says that she's been waiting a long time to confront Tiffany on all her crazy lies. Um, and she says that, but she got an earful for her. And Kiki said, and then as Tiffany's walking in, Kiki's like, oh, there's a baby. And then it says to be continued. And we all know that Kiki said that because Tiffany is trying to save herself from a well-deserved ass whooping. That's basically the type of vibe that I got. Oh, you got the baby here to defend you, protect you, you know? Because remember, if you have been watching since I started reviewing this season, y'all will know that I said Kiki need to get her lit. A lot of the shit that Tiffany has been saying has been fighting words. So I'm like, okay, drop the baby, so y'all can fight. And I know it's like, oh, y'all just want you to fight. No. Tiffany runs her mouth like she want to fight. But basically, Kiki's like, oh, now you got the baby here to save you, so we can't really get into it because if she raised her voice, it's like, oh, my baby, my baby. So this ain't gonna work. Big Lou gonna have to come get that baby, right? You had to come get that baby so they can hash it out like women, like for real, for real. But that was the end of this review, y'all. Make sure y'all like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure y'all enjoy the episode of Huntsville that's coming out tonight. See y'all in the next one, y'all. Bye.